Welcome to Saint Signs Happening. This is the free 3 week course, and this is week 3, day 1. And this is going to be a really intense presentation, unless, unless the past 2 weeks has prepared us to where this isn't that intense. It's like, yeah, I got it. I can see all the connections. We've gone over this and that over the past couple of weeks. So I'm going to be very interested to see how this comes across to you. So here we go. Simple review. Revelation chapter 17, an angel tells John the meaning behind the beast that has 7 heads and 10 horns, and the woman that rides upon it. And in giving the answer to the meaning, we read in verse 10 and 11 that there are 7 kings, 5 are fallen, and one is. And the other is not yet come, and when he cometh, he must continue a short space. And the beast that was and is not, even he is the eighth, and is of the 7, and goeth into perdition. So why is the angel calling the eighth king the beast that was and is not? And you know, um, now and he goeth into perdition. We know that why he goes in perdition. He gets the power, seat, and authority of Satan, and he goes to fight against Christ when Christ returns in power and glory. But but the king that was and is not, or the beast that was and is not, what that's all about, we're gonna take a close look at that as we go along today. Um, Verse 10, uh, 5 kings are fallen, the sixth one is. And why does the angel call the sixth one is? And then the other one continues for a short space. And how does that help us to break down any mysteries and things like that? So now in Revelation chapter 13, we've read this before in some presentations, but we're going to go through and connect dots today. And so hopefully this is a refresher, but also I hope that you pick up some new information, another layer of insights. So in Revelation chapter 13, verse 1, it says, I stood upon the sand of the sea and saw a beast rise up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and upon his horns are 10 crowns, and upon his heads the name of blasphemy. So Um, so down here on the chart, you see down here at that box, on top of that box is it's a city, but it's kind of like all grayed out and everything because that's representing when the city is destroyed. The city is set up way up here by the sixth king that is, and that's when it gets set up. Okay, so now let's go to verse 2. And the beast which I saw was like unto a leopard, and his feet as a bear, and his mouth as a lion. And so, and the dragon gave him his power, seat, and great authority. Well, in Revelation chapter 12, we read that, and the great dragon was cast out, that old serpent called the devil and Satan, which deceiveth the whole world. He was cast out into the earth, and his angels were cast out with him. So, so we know that Satan is going to give this beast his power, seat, and authority. Well, we had just read in Revelation chapter 17, verse 11, that the angel clarifies that and says that it's the eighth king that was and is not and goeth into perdition. And so it's the eighth king that gets the power, seat, and authority of Satan, not the first seven. And just a heads up, the eighth king doesn't always have the power, seat, and authority of Satan ever since he was born. And he didn't get it when he was 10 years old. He didn't get it when he was 20. He did it. He got it later on when he was the eighth king. So immediately when he became the eighth king, he didn't have the power, seat, and authority of Satan. It was later on in that. So we're going to get to that in another presentation in detail. But right now, just give you a heads up. Okay, verse 3. And I saw one of his heads as it were wounded to death, and his deadly wound was healed, and all the world wandered after the beast. So verse 3 is talking about one of the seven heads that gets wounded and yet lives. And in other presentations, this should be a review. We should know that that is the sixth king, the king that is. And verse 4, and they worshiped the dragon, which gave power to the beast, and they worshiped the beast, saying, who is like unto the beast? Who is able to make war with him? Now, this is talking about the sixth king. Um, the sixth king has the monetary system that is set up, and he can create money out of air. You know, I mean, it's digital. You could just create more. That's the way I'm perceiving it. We read about how people and kings and kingdoms are made so incredibly rich during this time that the monetary system, evil monetary system, is working. Now, the eighth king, when he's in power as the eighth king, he destroys the monetary system. Him and the 10 kings that give him their power. Um, so these 10 kings give their power to the eighth king for a short time. And but during that time, they go and destroy that evil monetary system with the approval of the eighth king. And so it's so this verse right here, when they're worshiping the beast, they're not worshiping the eighth king, they're worshiping the sixth king in the monetary system. Okay, verse 5. And there was given unto him a mouth speaking great things and blasphemies, and power was given unto him to continue 42 months. And he opened his mouth in blasphemy against God, to blaspheme his name and his tabernacle and them that dwell in heaven. What and get right there. And it was given unto him to make war with the saints and to overcome them. And power was given him over all kindreds, tongues, and nations. And all that dwelt upon the earth shall worship him, whose names are not written in the book of life of the Lamb slain from the foundation of the world. Again, this should be a review for us, and we should be so excited about verse 8 because verse 8 is letting us know that those of us who have our names written upon in the book, we're not going to have to um, uh, worship the beast and everything else like that. Um, and I say that there could be some circumstances and things like that, but generally speaking, there's going to be many that are not under the control of this monetary system. I'm so excited about that. Okay, um, verse 9, if any man have an ear, let him hear. And verse 10, he that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. Here is the patience and the faith of the saints. So there's going to come a time. So in section 45, towards the end of it, talks about anybody that's not going to want to um, be, fighting, killing a neighbor, or whatever. What do they got to do? They have to go to Zion, and and then remember the verses that talk about standing in holy places, and and so there's going to become a time where we're not going to be going out and fighting battles and trying to get people to safety and all that. That's going to be all past. And then we're going to say right there in holy places like Zion. And I like that. I like that a lot. Verse 11, and I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth and had two horns like a lamb, and he spake as a dragon. So, how does Satan talk? Smooth, cunning, very convincingly, and so this these two horns, they represent kings, but they're not mighty kings. They're not big horns. They're little horns like a lamb, and so we these two are going to be the ones that are going to put forth a lot of effort to convince the world that the people around the world should build this evil monetary system uh, to which the sixth king, the king that is, will control. And so in verse 12, and he, the two kings of the another beast, exerciseth all the power of the first beast before him, and causeth the earth and them that dwell therein to worship the first beast, whose deadly wound was healed. And he, the two kings of the another beast, doeth great wonders, so that he maketh fire come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of men. Now, verse 14, and deceiveth them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles which he, the two kings of the another beast, had power to do in the sight of the beast, saying to them that dwell on the earth, that they that dwell on the earth should make an image to the beast, which had the deadly wound by the sword and did live. So now we know that the sixth king had the deadly wound because of a sword. And so we got a little tidbit there, and we've covered that before. Verse 15, and he, the two kings of another beast, had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause that as many as should not worship the image of the beast should be killed. And so I imagine that the monetary system is going to be tracking all of us, who's buying, who's selling, and who's being compliant and who isn't being compliant. And this hardware, software can let the authorities know who's not being compliant. And because they're not compliant, they should be killed. They're on the these people should be killed list. Okay? And so now, verse 16. And he, the two kings of the another beast, causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive the mark in their hand, right hand, or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. Here is wisdom. Let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 600 threescore and six. So most of Revelation chapter 13 is about the time of the sixth king, the king that is. All right. So now we're going to get into Daniel chapter 7. And we're going to go all the way through it, and we're going to pick up some really cool things. We've been through the beginning of it a few times, so this should be familiar. Verse 1. In the first year of Belshazzar, king of Babylon, Daniel had a dream and visions of his head upon his bed. Then he wrote the sum, then he wrote the dream and told the sum of the matters. Daniel spake and said, I saw in my vision by night, and behold, the four winds of heaven strove upon the great sea, and four great beasts came up from the sea, diverse one from another. The first was like a lion, and had eagle's wings. And I beheld till the wings thereof were plucked, and it was lifted up from the earth, and made to stand upon the feet as a man, and a man's heart was given to it. Now, um, for King Charles and Putin and President Xi, I have question marks on them. They haven't fulfilled Bible prophecy yet, but um, I think they're in the position to where they could. So we got to keep an eye on it. All right, verse 5. And behold, another beast, a second, like to a bear, and it raised up itself on one side, and it had three ribs in the mouth of it between the teeth of it. And they said thus unto it, Arise, devour much flesh. So um, I think that these ribs could be like Crimea was just a portion of Ukraine, and then um, Putin has taken over other provinces in eastern Ukraine, and who knows what else he'll do. But could these three ribs be these providences to where the providences are pro Putin, and the time comes to where they are encouraging Putin, hey, go and conquer more places, go for it. But the sad thing is that in going to conquer other places, um, if this is correct, Putin is going to devour much flesh. Not good. Verse 6. After this I beheld, and lo, another like a leopard, which had upon the back of it four wings of a fowl. And the beast had also four heads, and dominion was given to it. So dominion given to it. He's going to expand his area, it seems like to me. Um, Remember that we're coming up to a time where Trump is going to break Khamenei of Iran and Erdogan of Turkey, and then sometime after that, uh, he's going to get broken, and uh, and once he gets broken, then the federal government collapses or something happens to where we go into four nations, and when we go into the foreign nations, how powerful are we going to be to protect Taiwan, Japan, other places? if we're not able to be the big worldwide protector like we are right now, could Russia, could China uh, take the opportunity to fulfill these prophecies that we've been talking about? Um, the other time in which these prophecies could be fulfilled, particularly with the bear king and the leopard king, is is after the 6 Hill event. After the 6 Hill event and the monetary system is set up, and we have these Christians that are gathering uh, over in the Bible Belt area, Rocky Mountain area, type of scenario. Um, then is it possible that the sixth king, the second king of the north, who has control over the monetary system, um, could they give funds over to Putin and Xi and say, listen, I'm going to give you all this money, get the weapons, and go over to central, United States former area, Bible Belt area, and and Rocky Mountain area, and get these people under control. They're not accepting the monetary system. And so here's money, go over and do it. So you got that type of scenario after the 6 Hill event, after the monetary system has been set up. It's going to be interesting. There are those who talk about a prophecy of China hitting from one side and Russia hitting from another side. Um, Again, if that is going to happen, remember that my guess is that the West Coast is going to be a socialistic country, East Coast is going to be a socialistic country, and so if at that time Russia attacks one and China attacks another, it's going to be primarily the wicked attacking the wicked. Doesn't that sound familiar? Isn't that interesting? Now, um, isn't it interesting that I'm being told, I haven't been able to verify it, but um, the the greatest amount of control over um, nuclear weapons is over in Utah, and I uh, I've been told that by someone that should know. Um, the other interesting thing is that um, the greatest amount, like 98% is what I'm being told, of the small ammo for the military is made over by Independence, Missouri. Isn't that interesting? And then I think there's like B-52s or B-2s or whatever that are in Missouri. Um, so bottom line is what I'm trying to get to is that it sure is interesting how much military assets we're going to have in the Bible Belt area. Just saying, it's kind of interesting. All right, so now let's go ahead and continue on verse 7. And after this I saw in the night vision, and behold, a fourth beast, dreadful and terrible and strong exceedingly, and it had great iron teeth, and it devoured and brake in pieces and stamped the residue with the feet of it, and it was diverse from all the beasts that were before it. and it had 10 horns. Now, um, these 10 horns, verse 8, I considered the horns, and behold, there came up among them another little horn, before whom there were three of the first horns plucked up by the roots. And behold, in this horn were eyes like the eyes of a man, and a mouth speaking great things. Okay, so three of the 10 are plucked up by the roots, by the little horn king, right over here. All right. The 10 horns in Daniel 7 are not the same 10 kings of Revelation chapter 13, verse 17. There's some interpretations out there that they're trying to make them the same, and they are not. Absolutely, they are not. The difference is that um, the dreadful and terrible king had conquered many isles, many places, and when this dreadful and terrible king suddenly isn't heard from unexpectedly, not heard from, then uh, then these places that he had conquered go back to their own original status. It seems like now one of the 10 would be the kingdom of the north, in which that's where the dreadful and terrible king is from. And so one of the 10 is from the kingdom of the north. The other ones are from places that the dreadful and terrible king has probably conquered. Okay, so um, the difference with the 10 kings down here is that they willingly give their power to the eighth king for a short time when the eighth king is in power. And uh, and so that's the biggest difference between these two groups right there. Okay, now verse uh, verse 9. I beheld till the thrones were cast down, and the Ancient of Days did sit, whose garments was white as snow, and the hair of his head like pure wool. His throne was like the fiery flame, and his wheels as burning fire. And fiery stream issued and came forth from before him, and thousands ministered unto him, and 10,000 times 10,000 stood before him, and the judgment was set, and the books were open. So this verse 9 and 10 is talking about when Christ is coming back in power and glory, real close to that time period. In verse 11, I beheld then because of the voice of the great words which the horn spake, I beheld even till the beast was slain and his body destroyed and given to the burning flame. As concerning the rest of the beast, they had their dominion taken away, yet their lives were prolonged for a season and a time. So here we are, we're talking about the return of Christ time. And at the time when Christ comes back, then these this little horn king over here, he's destroyed and given to the burning flame. And that's what happens when Christ comes back. Christ takes the beast and casts him down into the fire and brimstone. What's really fascinating is that it says, as concerning the rest of the beasts. What are the rest of the beasts? The rest of the beasts that he has just been talking about is the lion king, the bear king, and the leopard king. These are the rest of the beasts. And they're saying that when Christ comes back in power and glory, that they had their dominion taken away. Yet their lives were prolonged for a season and a time. So when, if King Charles and Putin and President Xi fulfill the prophecy, then we'll know for sure that those individuals are going to live to see the return of Christ in power and glory. And they're going to have their kingdom taken away when Christ returns, but their lives are going to be prolonged. Fascinating. Fascinating. We're going to be able to identify three people of our lifetime, who are referenced in the Bible, who are going to live to see the return of Christ and have their kingdom taken away and then still continue to live. What's also interesting is that, as we had read about in um, Revelation chapter 13, verse 2, that they are part of that image of the beast. Now, the seven heads represent the seven kings, but the lion and the bear and the leopard are also referenced there. What's their role? What are they going to be doing? So, um, connecting the dots, they're going to be in leadership of the monetary system. But during the time that the sixth king is alive, the sixth king has the final word in the monetary system. But once he's gone, then the seventh king doesn't continue in a leadership capacity. He doesn't continue to have control over the monetary system. So then who does run the monetary system after the sixth king is gone? And then that is where it looks like the lion king, the bear king, and the leopard king take over as running the monetary system once the sixth king is gone. Fascinating connection. Okay, so now we get to verse 13. And I saw in the night vision, and behold, one like the Son of Man came with the clouds of heaven, and came to the Ancient of Days, and they brought him near before him. And there was given him dominion and glory and a kingdom, that all people, nations, and languages should serve him. His dominion is an everlasting dominion, which shall not pass away, and his kingdom that which shall not be destroyed. Isn't that beautiful? We've got exciting times ahead. And I, Daniel, was grieved in my spirit in the midst of my body, and the visions of my head troubled me. And I came near unto one of them that stood by, and asked him the truth of all this. So he told me and made me know the interpretation of the things. These great beasts, which are four kings, which shall arise out of the earth. They're not extraterrestrial. They're not whatever. They're kings. These are kings. And we just are looking at probably identifying three out of the four. Perhaps Charles, perhaps Putin, perhaps President Xi. And so you'll hear other interpretations that will, in their interpretation, they change it from kings to kingdom. In fact, I think that there's some new modern age Bibles in which they have changed the verbiage from kings to kingdom. Well, a king only has his one individual life. And a kingdom can have many kings during the course of the kingdom's existence. It's really important to pay attention to this. When you go back to the original word, then it is meaning royal, king, etc. Not kingdom, not kingdom. So so that is something to watch for as an obvious, oh, someone made a bad interpretation right there. Okay, now verse 18. But the saints of the Most High shall take the kingdom and possess the kingdom forever, even forever and ever. So again, with verse 18, we have great news here to where there's still saints on the earth when Christ comes back, and they're going to possess the kingdom forever and ever. Verse 19. Then I would then I would know the truth of the fourth beast, which was diverse from all the others, exceedingly dreadful, whose teeth were of iron, and his nails of brass, which devoured and brake in pieces, and stamped the residue with his feet, and of the 10 horns that were in his head, and of the other which came up, and before whom 3 fell, even of that horn that had eyes and had a mouth that spake very great things, whose look was more stout than his fellows. And I beheld, and the same horn made war with the saints, and prevailed against them, until the Ancient of Days came, and judgment was given to the saints of the Most High. And the time came that the saints possessed the kingdom. So when we're talking about that this eighth king is prevailing against the saints, uh, it's in the latter part of his reign as king. And he gets the power, seat, and authority of Satan with the about the time of the fifth trumpet angel. So I don't have it showing here, but just pay attention when next time you see it, or you can look on your poster that you have, and you look where the fifth king, the fifth trumpet is. That's about the time that the eighth king gets the power, seat, and authority of Satan. And and at that point there it's called the fifth, sixth, and seventh trumpet angels are called the three woe angels. And this is the winding up scene. I mean, from the time about of the fifth trumpet angel, it's about 6 or 7 years before the return of Christ. And there's a lot of battles that are going on around that time, and hopefully we'll be able to cover that in one of the upcoming presentations. Okay, um, thus he said, the fourth beast shall be the fourth kingdom upon the earth, which shall be diverse from all kingdoms, and shall devour the whole earth, and shall tread it down, and breaketh in pieces. So here is talking about the beast, the fourth beast shall be the fourth kingdom upon the earth. So there's a dual interpretation that the angel is giving as the answer. One is that the angel says that it's a particular king, dreadful and terrible. The angel also is saying that it represents a kingdom. And with this kingdom, is talking about the dreadful and terrible one. One of these 10 is the king that the seventh king that only continues for a short space. And then the next king is the one that gets the power, seat, and authority of Satan. and goes fight against Christ. So this kingdom, uh, when you look at it in that perspective, verse 23 makes all the sense in the world. Thus he said, the fourth beast shall be the fourth kingdom upon the earth, which shall be diverse from all kingdoms, and shall devour the whole earth, and tread it down, and break it in pieces. So with the sixth king, he does conquer many places, but when we take a look at what the eighth king does in another presentation, you'll see how he just he just a third of the population gets killed when he's king. We'll talk about another presentation. Verse 24, and the 10 horns. Okay, so we talked about that. These 10 horns, they're not the focus. They're the three, it mentions three are going to be plucked up, but the real focus is from the dreadful and terrible all the way down over here to then the little horn king. All right. So now we've covered this. Okay. So let's connect some dots. I am excited about this. Knowing that the little horn king in Daniel chapter 8 from one of the four Grecia areas, formerly the USA, waxed exceedingly great towards the pleasant land and becomes the king in another area, the kingdom of the north, as mentioned in Daniel 11. We are now ready to connect some dots. So this king over here, which is from one of these four areas, he eventually becomes the king over here in the kingdom of the north, which is a Muslim area. Isn't that interesting? So we'll have to watch to see if there's a Muslim friendly leader in one of these four Grecia areas. We'll be able to figure it out. And we don't have to wait for a decade. I mean, it's going to be less than probably less than 8 years that we're going to have the answer of who that person is. Okay, so he becomes this person down here who's the same as that one, who's the same as that one. We have covered Daniel chapters 7, 8, and 11, and Revelation chapters 13 and 17, which all talk about the same evil person who goes fight against Christ when Christ returns in power and glory. We have covered Daniel chapters 7 and 11, and Revelation chapters 13 and 17, which all talk about this same evil person, the king that is, the sixth king, the dreadful and terrible king, the second king of the north. These three kings get plucked up by the roots. This seventh king continues for a short space. This king is destroyed after a few days. Logically, one of these three kings is the same person as described in Revelation chapter 17 and 11. So one of these three is this person right here. Okay? Daniel 11 indicates it's the vile person who kills the raiser of taxes. So now we're getting another piece of the puzzle. So it's the vile person who does a coup and takes out this person here. Therefore, it has to be the vile person who plucks up the three kings in Daniel chapter 7. Where does the vile person get the arms of a flood, as we read in Daniel chapter 11, verse 22? to kill the three kings in Daniel chapter 7. As the little horn king in one of the Grecia area, he takes a devoted group of men and kills three kings as mentioned in Daniel chapter 7. One of the three kings is the raiser of taxes in Daniel chapter 11, verse 20. This is the same king mentioned in Revelation chapter 17 that continues a short space. So so this king here comes down, kills three of these people here, which one of them is this person over here. And then he becomes the eighth king or the little horn king down here. Revelation chapter 17, verse 7. The angel said unto me, Wherefore dost thou marvel? I will tell thee the mystery of the woman and of the beast that carrieth her, which hath the 7 heads and 10 horns. The beast which thou sawest was and is not, and shall ascend out of the bottomless pit and go into perdition. And they that dwell on the earth shall wonder whose names were not written in the book of life from the foundation of the world, when they behold the beast that was and is not and yet is. Daniel chapter 11. And then he, this is the sixth king, shall turn his face towards the fort of his own land, but he shall stumble and fall and not be found. The sixth king is the one that set up the monetary system. And now he's gone. He's not found. Verse 20, then shall stand up in his estate a raiser of taxes, in the glory of the kingdom. But within few days he shall be destroyed, neither in anger nor in battle. So after a few days of being king, he is destroyed. Who does it? It's the vile person. And in his estate shall stand up the vile person, to whom they shall not give the honor of the kingdom, but he shall come in peaceably and obtain the kingdom by flattery. In verse 22, it talks about how he comes in with the arms of a flood and kills him. So that's how we know that. Okay, so then get this right here. So he was the king of one of the Grecia areas. He kills three of the kings, and one of those three that are killed is the raiser of taxes king, who became king just for a few days. And then he's not given the honor of being recognized by being their king. So over here in verse 21, in his estate shall stand up a vile person, to whom they shall not give the honor of the kingdom. So the people of the kingdom of the north doesn't give him the honor of being the king, but he shall come in peaceably and obtain the kingdom by flattery. Yet he is their king. He does become their king. So this is the person, the eighth, the beast that was and is not and yet is. We have solved the mystery as to why the angel gave that specific verbiage right there. And what's so really important is that you won't get the answer to it unless you start connecting all these different dots. We brought in Revelation chapter 13, Revelation chapter 17. In prior presentations, we've talked about DNC 88, verse 94. We've tied in Daniel chapter 7, Daniel chapter 8, Daniel chapter 11. And, and all these came together with clues to help us solve the mystery of why the angel calls him the beast that was and is not and yet is. It is a very, very defining nugget showing that this is the more correct interpretation. And I hope that I hope that you appreciated this presentation, and I hope it made sense to you. I look forward to getting your comments about that. But tomorrow we're going to be talking about Revelation chapters 13 and 17 and 18, and going through those and getting those really tightened to where if someone comes over to you with an interpretation, you're going to be able to take a look at that interpretation and see how it is matching up with Daniel chapter 11, 8, and 7 in that order. And then also these other chapters out of the book of Revelation. And then you can also take a look to see how does it match up with DNC 84 verses 87 through like 112 or so. So anyways, thank you so much for being here. Look forward to seeing you tomorrow, and you have a blessed night. God bless. Take care now.